Hey, I had another thought for that conversation that we had off air.
Cool.
Some of the files may actually be in the cloud, so maybe they're transferring later than the other ones.
Yeah, but I mean, the files are so small.
I know, but
it shouldn't. You know what I mean? You're not moving like raw video files that are like 80-something
but
gigs.
if it's really picky about what it wants to play and when it's loaded, maybe that's it. So I moved them all over to an external hard drive, so they're right there.
I'm telling you, it's a software issue. It's a reader issue.
Yeah.
Just like certain types of files won't play in Apple Music that'll play in
Yeah,
VLC.
I just got to work around it because I know it works. So,
welcome to our Tech Talk
hey,
on OTC.
great.
I'm gonna drink this a little bit of this Bolthouse Farms mocha. Have you ever had one of these? 'Cause I know you like coffee.
No, I haven't.
Very good.
Looks good. Yeah.
Very good. It's like a milkshake.
Huh.
It's got a lot of protein in it.
That's good, I guess.
And now I have a lot of protein in me. Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is Outside the Cinema. It's been called your weekly source for cult movie discussions.
Yeah.
Yep. We're your hosts. I'm Bill. That's Chris. Welcome back. If somehow you've philandered upon us. No, that's not the right word.
Stumbled?
Stumbled?
That works.
Philandered? Is that even right?
Philandered is like
I'm a
that has to do with
philanderer.
money. So if you want to philander over the show,
No, philander doesn't have to do with money. You're thinking of
philanthropy.
I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Just making
We're
shit
here.
up now.
Yeah, we're here doing the show. Chris picked the movies for this week, which blows my mind because he picked films so in line with what we do here on OTC.
It took 16 years, but I figured it out.
Yeah, usually it's like Chris, you're gonna pick the movies this week. I got something going on, and you like find like these like great sci-fi movies or like
Yeah.
something else, and you're like, oh yeah, sure. Bottom of the barrel trash.
Yep. Sometimes it's I don't have time to watch something. Can we do this that I've already seen?
Yeah, totally understandable. So Chris, why don't you tell everyone what you chose for the show for this week? Oh, sorry.
So
Realize that was on a loop.
the title popped up, and it just caught my attention because it's called Cocaine Wars. And I'm like, all right, that sounds terrible. I knew nothing about it going in, but you'll soon find out what it's about. And the other one is Raiders of the Living Dead. Is that the title on the file?
Well, that's the title on the file, but the title on the film says Dying Day.
Yeah, which after looking it up, after you asked me, because I did no research on this before you asked me that question, it looks like there was a 60-minute cut thrown around to a couple theaters or something like midnight type of thing. And the 60-minute cut was under that name, but you know, it's just
But it was like a completely different story, wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't even know what the story was in the one that we are going to talk about. I have an idea, but
Because I definitely looked at a film on IMDb, and it can't be the same film.
what is the other title of it again?
So if you look up Raiders of the Living
Yeah.
Dead, you get a film from 1986
Yep.
called Newspaper Reporter Hears a Strange Goings-On on a Remote Island and travels there to find a mad scientist there, and he is creating zombies.
Okay, yeah.
That's not the movie we watched.
Yeah.
Because isn't there like a thing where like he creates like a laser thing? Or like I don't think it's the same
I'm going to
movie.
be honest. It was difficult to see what was going on in this movie.
Well, yeah,
This is almost as
That's
dark as Oasis of the Zombies was in some of those scenes.
yeah. Is there another Raiders of the Living Dead? I guess we'll start with this movie. We'll just kind of get into this
Yeah.
right here. Hang on. So I remember having a VHS of a film called Raiders of the Living Dead from probably early on working at Sam Goody.
Okay.
It was some weird random boutique label called like Very, Very Strange Video or something like that.
Okay.
Not something weird films.
Right.
Very Strange Video. And I remember having it and trying to watch it and not being able to. But now I'm just like, I was so confused watching this because I read the IMDb and I'm like, where's this kid with like a CD player and a laser?
Yeah. I'm looking through the pictures here. and there's two redheaded kids, and one of them's got a huge circuit board in front of him, and I don't remember that happening.
Nope. All right, well, let me look up Dying Day.
Some of it looks familiar, like one of the characters, but not anybody else.
Right.
So what the?
So there isn't anything listed under Dying Day. Raiders of the Living Dead pops up. Oh, this is confusing because it can't be the same movie. Hold on, let's go down.
They also known as, we get Raiders of the Living Dead, Raiders of the Living Dead. Let's see, there's 11 more. That's all different. Dark Knight. Dying Day is the cut version of it. So maybe that's why there's no lasers.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, so this is a weird one.
I don't even really know how to like. Is Brett Piper the guy that directed it?
You know what? Let me.
Brett Piper said in an interview that he filmed a small, no-budget zombie movie called Dying Day, which Sam Sherman bought. Then Sam Sherman shot and added new footage, retitled it Raiders of the Living Dead, and listed himself as a director. Piper and Sherman did not actually meet until years later.
Okay, I'm just gonna mute this and see what goes, because I wasn't paying attention to the opening credits that were absolutely fucking silent the whole time.
Yeah, that was
I looked away and I looked back. I'm like, is it still playing? What is happening? And it was still credits. So
a deranged doctor is resurrecting dead convicts as zombies. An insipid newspaper reporter investigates, and it's up to a kid with a weapon he made from a VCR to stop them.
Okay, that explains the circuit boards.
Definitely not what we watched.
So yeah,
but we didn't see that.
In the very beginning, 36 seconds in, it's a zombie head, like eyeball close-up thing, and it says Dying Day. And then, featuring Bob DeVoe, not Bell or Biv, but Bob DeVoe, Donna Asali, maybe? It's very blurry. And Bob Sachetti.
All right, let's look one of them up.
What do we got here for names? Scotch. Robert DeVoe.
Names. Oh, Bob Sachetti, Man in Black.
I got Robert DeVoe and Donna under Raiders of the Living Dead. Yeah, it's just a different cut. So maybe this cut.
So we watched the Dying Day cut.
Yeah.
It's not even the same movie.
Let me see. So this other director would have his name on it then if it's this cut, right?
Should be, yeah.
All right. I don't want to skip because I'll have to go back and I'll miss it.
Nope, I hear you. Well, I'm jumping on YouTube now to see what I can find here on YouTube.
Isn't this great that we do this now? There's a lot of names.
Well, when else will we do it?
Sound mixer.
When else will we do it?
No.
Raiders
Special
of the Living
effects
Dead.
by Cheap Tricks. All right, cool. I like that name. Music.
All right, I have a trailer here for the 1986 Raiders of the Living Dead. Let's play it and see what happens. Is there no audio?
It's the opening credits.
It might be. Hold on.
That's interesting.
No, that doesn't work. Okay, let me find a different one. See if there's another one here.
I get assistant director, but I don't get a director's name in the beginning.
Well, remember then the title card showed up 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, after the initial one, 30 seconds in. Oh, wait, got executive producer. They fooled me.
They fooled
because they went to black.
They fooled you.
And I thought the movie was going to start. That was Charles Baldwin
right.
was the executive producer.
All right, I found another one. Let's see if this one works.
Written and directed by Brett Piper. Okay, we have the Brett Piper version.
Okay, hold on. So this
terrorists holding a nuclear power plant for ransom and bringing the dead back to life.
Man's some kind of a terrorist. He's holding the people at the Mill Run nuclear power plant hostage.
You just burned him a little.
You had me worried. One murder was enough.
It's the most unusual horror movie of the year, Raiders of the Living Dead.
None of this looks familiar.
Time with your experiment.
Right.
You've got to forget these fantasies and get out in the real world.
Is that what you call it, with all these creeps running around?
Just what are you cooking up in your lab?
A new death ray. I want to rule this block.
No, none of this looks even. None of this.
I don't know where he thinks them up.
I don't mind donating my video player to science, but I'd hate to see you get
And I
hurt
can't
with
find a
it.
trailer for a
This
dying
is really
day.
Great. You see, the voltage is multiplied here and produces the laser beam in this part of the circuit.
Warning, high voltage. Removal of cover exposes hazardous voltages.
Well, this definitely isn't the movie. None of that is familiar.
No. This one was basically a guy that was having zombies sent after him.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I do remember
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah, you and I watched the same
Okay.
movie. Which is just a matter of what movie is it?
Yeah. So it's Dying Day, which there's no trailer for. Not that I can find.
Or
right away.
any information whatsoever
Yeah.
that I can
Yeah.
find. Dying Day.
It's also such a generic, not a generic title, but it's like so.
Well, and then it showed up at the end. Didn't it say like 2002
Yes.
or something?
Yes. Like that's when they got the rights to produce a version of it, maybe?
I don't know. Yeah, nothing shows up for under. This is crazy, man. This is the first time I think we've ever run into this.
Yeah, so if you're new, if this is your first episode, this isn't normal. We normally know a little
No.
bit about what's going on, but if I type in Dying Day, it comes up Raiders of the Living Dead.
Right. But that trailer does not look. Nothing in that trailer looks familiar.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll read some of this stuff here from the page. It says the film originally started in New Hampshire in 1983 by co-writer Brett Piper under the title Graveyard. It was later completed in 3 weeks by writer-producer Samuel Sherman. Veteran actress Zita Johann came out of retirement to appear in one scene. Okay, the film was not shown theatrically in the United States until May 28th, 2017. At a special screening at the Mahoning Drive-In in Layton, Pennsylvania, with producer Sherman in attendance. The film was given a 2-disc special edition DVD in the U.S. by Image Entertainment in 2003. This version is currently out of print. The set contains 3 versions of the film. Version 1, the first cut called Dying Day, directed by Brett Piper. The second cut called Dark Night, directed by Brett Piper, and the third cut called Raiders of the Living Dead, featuring new footage shot by Sherman.
What label put it out?
Image Entertainment,
Vision?
not the
Vision Entertainment.
Image. Yeah, not the
Image.
comic
Image.
book company.
Image Entertainment.
Okay, so I'm on a
Dying Day.
I'm on a
okay.
website called Tape Freaks. That's a blogspot thing, and this is from 2015. I'll read a little of it here. It might help us out. Originally purchased as a 60-minute feature called Dying Day by Independent International Pictures and reworked twice over, this movie was a big convoluted mess. In the 70s, Independent International Picture was notorious for buying, quote, unreleasable films for cheap, reworking them and then releasing them for a tidy profit. Studio head Sherman was pretty confident that with enough work, any picture could be flipped using this method. But when he bought Dying Day from director Brett Piper for a cool $25,000,
What?
yeah,
That's not worth it.
he made a profit of $7,500 on that. So hey, he made money on the movie.
Good for him.
Sherman
Good
might
for
have
him.
bit off more than he could chew. Apparently unaware his purchase was only an hour long, he took on reworking it himself. He hired the original cast to shoot additional footage and added some plot points and edited it into something called Dark Knight. Upon viewing Dark Knight, Sam's business partner dubbed this version better, though still not good enough, so they rehired the cast, beefed up the plot some more, added even more characters, and made Raiders of the Living Dead. The plot unfolds something like this. Then it says, okay, who are we kidding? There's no plot. There is, though. There is. It's thin.
There is.
The short version is stuff happens. Most stuff isn't resolved. Some stuff's only mentioned once, and a kid makes a pair of laser guns out of a Laserdisc player.
None of which we saw. So
The heist. This movie opens with a hijacking of a tanker truck in which there is almost no dialogue and transitions into a hostage situation. Now, the one we watched starts in like 1839 or something, doesn't it?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like 3 different time periods it
Yeah,
goes
the
to.
hostage taker is electrocuted twice, once intentionally, once by accident. And the second, Joel kills him. That's the last time any of that is mentioned. The reporter and the photographer, the kid and his grandpa. I'm skimming it to see if they talk about Dying Day original incarnation. Okay. Is this? This is a different article, but it looks exactly the same, but it's not. Dying Day. This is the original incarnation of all these movies, and the thing it has going for it over all the others is that it mostly makes sense from beginning to end. All right, here we go. The plot unfolds something like this. Morgan's ancestor brought a curse upon his bloodline 100 years ago, and he's being hunted by zombies because of it. That's the movie we watched.
That's the movie we watched.
I remember
that.
As the last of the bloodline, he and his new girlfriend won't be off the hook as mercifully as his ancestors. How it relates to Raiders. The reporter and the girlfriend are most likely the same in both pictures. Many scenes from Raiders come from this version, but those scenes in Raiders don't make much sense. Okay, so everything.
And the version we watched was 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, that part I don't understand.
So there was 30 minutes added. So was this, but it was still called Dying Day.
Yeah. I don't know. So hold on. Here's Dark Knight. It says this version has almost nothing going for it. They give an asinine amount of screen time to things like walking around a prison, driving to a prison, holding the sign outside of a prison. The movie starts with a man raising a zombie from the grave and then cuts to 2 men at a desk reading a letter aloud. Then it cuts to our reporter wandering around New York City where he stumbles into the doorstep of a kindly doctor. The reporter starts to tell the doctor his sad story, and we are flashed back to when the reporter's photographer was killed by a zombie, when he was picked up by a local woman, when he called the doctor, even though it was certain this was a flashback.
What?
How it relates to the others. Turns out this version of Dr. Grandpa, the doctor that I had mentioned, is the father of the truck hijacker from Raiders, though the hijacking scene is not in this version. And after his son is electrocuted, he raises him from the dead. It's like they made a whole fucking different movie with the same cast.
It sounds that way.
So I'm trying to figure out if that was a 60-minute cut, why is this double the length?
Right. And nothing changes in terms of quality.
No, there's nothing that makes me think there was different film even used between the different versions. And it says for Dark Knight, hard to watch on many levels. I don't really recommend watching this version. It's a working print, and there's not sound most of the time.
So I found the version that I had, or at least a listing for the VHS that I had, and the cover of it is nothing we saw in the movie. Here, I'll show you on the camera.
Yeah. Where did I?
Too bright. Sorry,
where the hell did I
you're not gonna be able to see it.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I was looking for the tab with it that I had.
But it was on VSV, Very Strange Video.
Okay.
They hunt down zombies who feed on human meals. Raiders of the Living Dead.
Huh.
You can buy it now for $15.
Yeah, there's one on Severin for $28. See if there's anything. The ultimate presentation with 4+ hours of special features.
So looking at the back of it, I don't recognize any of this stuff. Nothing, because the one we watched, like everything was in the dark at night. Like everything on this.
Yeah.
So we watched Dying Day.
I guess so, yeah.
We didn't watch Raiders of the Living Dead. We watched Dying Day.
Yeah.
And it sucked. So
it doesn't sound as bad as the final version that was titled Raiders, though, because at least this had a through line of the ancestors' curse, and that was the main motivation for the character. So I'll give it that. They did stay on topic.
for the most part, yeah. The thing was, like, your main lead guy, like, he's got like a black hole of charisma. Like, he's got nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
his line delivery is not experienced.
right. And so he gets picked up on like the side of the road by a nurse because he was trying to get a ride or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and,
that
like,
was the same movie. It feels like that was like part of a 6-hour miniseries.
I know. I don't seriously. So she picks him up and brings him home, but she's not looking for romance or anything like that. But then they're gonna have romance.
Yeah, of course.
So, and then all like the other issues, all the characters look the same. So like the guy that was actually like chasing this other dude down with zombies looked just like the guy that he was chasing down. So at first I thought he was the one that was summoning the zombies. But there's also these parts at the beginning where it's like 1736 and 1926 and now present day, but like none of it ever really ties in together.
Right.
You got more of an explanation from it when you just did the little bit of digging that you did.
I know, right?
Like than the movie gives you.
That's sad.
So weird. Such a bizarre flick.
Yeah. But aside from the lighting and the sound and how it looks.
Oh, sorry.
Hi there. Looks like you are out of free recordings. People who upgrade.
What is happening here? Something opened on my iPad.
Oh, I thought it was
Nope. It's because I had opened all these different windows trying to figure out what the hell movie this was.
And the iPad's like, I don't care. Just stop. Please.
Yeah. Just buy shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, continue.
I've totally lost what I was saying.
The through line.
Oh,
different time periods.
Yeah. It looks awful. It sounds awful. But the story is surprisingly together for what I was watching. Because there is a start, there's a curse, there's a middle, I gotta stop the curse, and there's the end. Did he stop it in the end?
I mean, they burned that guy in that house.
So yeah.
So
that makes this story, as bare bones as it is actually a better story than the other stuff we were reading about a kid with a laserdisc gun. Although a gun that shot laser discs would probably be pretty effective. I don't know. This is weird. It popped up and I'm like, that is a title that we need to watch. And then
yep. Well, and I remember that buying that VHS from that short-lived label. They only had a couple of different tapes, and I remember getting them when I was kind of like probably like around like I was probably like around 20.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, maybe I'm actually wondering if maybe I got these when we worked at Blockbuster. Now that I'm thinking about it, because it said 97.
That would make sense
and we would get every now and then we would get these like random cool things in. And this time, obviously, the movie ended up not being cool, but like 20-year-old Bill and mid-20s Chris looking at that, being like, "Oh, all right, yeah, I'll buy this."
Yeah.
And we could special order anything we wanted if it was available. So
Right. And that was something like they would send us stuff that in my head I would refer to as like shelf filler. And we had a lot of that in the horror section, but like that's our bread and butter. So, but it's all titles you walk by looking for the one you want. Or the artwork catches your attention and you're like, "Oh yeah, shit, I got to watch Evil Dead 2, whatever the hell that is."
Well, yeah, and like the whole idea that's on a video label called Very Strange Video.
Yep.
Like, yeah, very strange. It also should have been on Very, Very Bad Video.
Yeah. Well, it's strange how and why they decided to release it.
It's really funny, though, to think of the multitude of releases for a film like this. It was cut into 3 different movies, released multiple times on VHS. Apparently, there was a collector's edition DVD of it that was out. I mean, like, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, and then...
But it's rubbish. It's garbage. It's absolute garbage. They had a story. Yeah. It's all they had was a story.
I think that I am confused with the hour and 20-minute version that we have that doesn't reference any of the redhead kid or laser gun stuff at all. That makes me think that this is a 4th version of the movie that we didn't get to see or that's not listed. I don't know, but this guy set out to make a movie about zombies, and I will admit the zombies did not look bad for homemade 80s zombie stuff.
Seen a lot worse.
Yeah.
Seen a lot worse.
These were decent. And he made it and he made money off of it. And there is, like we talk about, there is a sincerity to this. It feels like he was really, he really wanted to do, and this was the best of his ability, and that's fine because everybody's different. But that's why I don't hate this, because they look like they just really wanted to make something good. They didn't, but
no,
but this is, I am over the last few years, I've come to appreciate people giving it everything they have, and not knocking them for that. So, but still, it's not good. But it's a great start for a career. Why not? I want to make this at home. Okay.
Right. So I just did a deep dive onto one of the sites that I have that's a nefarious site to see if I could get any additional information. So some of this is going to repeat what you said earlier, but I'm going to read it anyway. Tagline: They are evil, they are dead, they are ravenous. Synopsis: Newspaper reporter Morgan Randall is investigating a mysterious location where people have disappeared when he and a woman are attacked. Randall awakens on a road with amnesia and trying to find out where he was and what's going on in the town. He is assisted by the town's elderly doctor and his grandson. Any fans of 80s cheese should like this. It's got some creep atmosphere and moments. Features a kid making a laser gun out of a laser disc player and zombies, which, as we said, that's not what we watched. But now here's the important part. There are 3 different cuts of the film, as you had said earlier. First was called Dying Day by special effects filmmaker Brett Piper, so we knew that. The movie was purchased by Sam Sherman, and buyers turned Dying Day down.
Okay.
Sam Sherman and buyers turned Dying Day down. Sherman reshoots it, calls it Dark Knight, which met with a more favorable reaction from buyers. Sherman continued to add to his reshoots until it eventually was finished and entitled Raiders of the Living Dead. The television rights for Dark Knight were sold, and it aired on USA Network's Up All Night.
Okay.
The sale money helped fund the final production. Very little of Dying Day, the original movie, is left in the final cut. Raiders of the Living Dead is the longest version. Raiders includes director commentary and a second audio stream on the collector's edition. Okay. So I think what we got, or what we watched, was the longer cut Dark Knight, but still with the Dying Day name on it.
Okay.
Because it sounds like Raiders is the one where they took out pretty much everything from the original, but Dark Knight had a large chunk of the original Dying Day in it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, you somehow dug this gem up, and I don't know how or where, but it's a more interesting piece, I think, looking at it the way we're looking at it. We're trying to figure out where it came from, what it was, and that. But the film itself is really not very good, no matter how you shake it.
Yeah. So I'm looking in a place that I'm not going to tell people about, and the first one in the list shows screenshots of the kid making the laser. There's a dude on a wireless phone. So I think there's 2. Let me look at the specs on this. Scrolling. 1 hour and 25 minutes for the one with the kid with the laser gun showing, and then the one that doesn't show those pictures. Where is it? Audio English. That says 47 minutes. I'm gonna have to like follow up with this next week. I'm gonna have to check.
We've already spent more time on it than we should have.
Yeah, but this is an interesting puzzle.
It is. But speaking of puzzles, all right, Chris, you may have to give this film an incomplete since we don't know the whole story, but do you recommend, and what is your grade for the film that had the title on the file, Raiders of the Living Dead, and said Dying Day on the titles in the actual file, but we believe is actually called Dark Knight?
So, because I don't know what's going on, I can't recommend this. It's just I don't feel.
Good luck finding it. First,
I know.
of all.
I don't feel comfortable recommending this to anybody. The version we watched though is definitely it's a homemade DIY kind of thing. Like, hey, let's make a movie. Let's do zombies. It was 1986, so this was the year after Return of the Living Dead and Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's your titles. I mean, that's obvious. So, like, no, don't watch this.
So, like, no.
I want to next week. I would really like to watch the Laserdisc laser gun version.
I don't want to.
I know, but I want to.
Sorry, I don't want to.
I want to see. I got to see the differences.
You can definitely watch it.
Oh yeah, I will. I will. This is weird. I don't understand any of it. None. I don't.
No. It doesn't make any sense.
No. So I'm gonna give it a D because the zombies were better than I thought they would be. I thought it was gonna be like rubber cement and tissue paper for like wrinkly skin, but it wasn't. It was actually better. But yeah, this is a. I know a little bit about making movies, so let's do that. But you don't know enough about lighting or audio. It's not as dark as those scenes in Oasis of the Zombies where I just couldn't like just hearing stuff and getting like blurs of movement. It's not great. So D, and yeah, don't watch this. Let me find a better version for you guys to watch.
Yeah, I'm in pretty much agreement with you. I can't recommend it. Just the sheer look of the version that we watched, and from what I gathered, I can't imagine there's a much better version. This is definitely like a second or third rate VHS rip of a film that was already too dark to start.
Yeah.
So props to the lighting guy for not showing up on the day of filming, because it's the only thing I can imagine.
Yep.
Or they didn't know they needed a lighting guy.
That's true.
That too, probably. So, but yeah, it's a jumbled mess. Like, they've got a story, and that's literally it. And I'll agree with you that the zombies didn't look as bad, but they also barely show up at all. So
that's true. There was
it's
lot
not
of talking.
like they're a lot of talking, a lot of bad acting, a lot of wooden presentation.
Yeah.
So yeah, D-. I'm not gonna fail it, but like, just not good. Just not good all around.
Yep.
And the jumbled mess of the history of it makes it even more frustrating.
Yeah, but at least that made it interesting to talk about for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we talked about it for about 25 minutes and really said only about 3 minutes of what was going on in the movie. So there you have it. That is that's that movie.
Yeah.
Next, definitely more OTC. Well, no, I mean, that movie was OTC fare, but so this is like, 1985's Cocaine Wars. Here we go. I got a trailer for it, so let's just.
John Schneider.
You're DEA.
Undercover.
One American against the world's drug armies.
You tell me where those papers are.
The odds are against him. The stakes are high.
Dog. Or die.
But he's in this one to win. John Schneider. Cocaine Wars.
Hell yeah. That's a perfect trailer for that movie,
That
too.
really is, yeah.
If you hadn't heard, starring John Snyder, Bo Duke himself in the house. Also, Royal Dano shows up. Royal Dano is an amazing character actor that, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Outlaw Josie Wales. He's in the dark half. The guy's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in like a few episodes of Twin Peaks too, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Huh. But he's been in a ton of stuff, so he shows up too. We got Catherine Witt. She's been in a number of things too. Let's see here. Star 80, Looker, Flying High in Philadelphia. And this film is directed by the one and only Hector Oliveira. I say one and only because he's the only one I've ever heard of. He did do a few films that I think we may have talked about in the past. Hold on one sec here. Let me scroll through. He was a producer on Deathstalker. This is also a Roger Corman production. So Roger Corman's a producer on this.
I mean, that makes absolute sense.
It's totally like
I must have missed his name on there, but that's obvious.
So Hector Oliveira did Wizards of the Lost Kingdom and Barbarian Queen on top of Cocaine War.
Okay,
so yeah, definitely OTC type guy. But this is a film that's made 85. It's a response to Rambo. They get Bo Duke in there to be the DEA agent. Cliff Adams. We don't know he's an undercover DEA agent until later in the film, but he's running drugs for Reyes. Just Reyes.
Yeah.
He's the guy that's the drug kingpin wherever they are. And basically it's one of those stories where you got the one American that's better than everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
That is the 80s in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, this film is absolutely, even if you look at the box art for it, I mean, it is so Rambo.
Yeah.
Like, so Rambo.
I don't understand.
Lone American hero challenges the might of a vicious drug empire.
Yeah. I don't understand the thought process that the people that come up with these ideas, hey, let's get our own Rambo thing going. Like, it's not going to be even close to half or a quarter as good as the real one.
Right,
right. But so why?
I don't know, man. It's cash in.
Yeah, it just seems cash-ins seem weird to me.
They do, but I totally get it.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a fairly popular actor. I mean, because he was the star. John Snyder was the star of the Dukes of Hazzard. He was Bo Duke. I should probably play the theme song if I can find it.
Taylor.
Good, thanks, Taylor. It's the type of thing where like you get a fairly known face.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty big
put
at
him
the
in
time,
there.
I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Big
And he's good in this.
Yeah.
He does a good job in this. Yeah. He does everything he's asked to do. He's got charisma. He looks good. Fucking killer mustache.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got one of those mustaches where it's like whatever you eat, you're gonna taste it for days because like he doesn't trim it at all, so it just goes over his lip.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can't get food.
Oh no, me either.
No,
dude, me either. For a guy, and I'm like, I got a long beard. I got a lot of facial hair, but my lip is the trim, always the trim.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't do the Sam Elliott. That's just
can't handle it. But yeah, so Schneider, he was fresh off of Dukes of Hazzard. He's somewhere he's somewhere in South America. He's working undercover for this cocaine lord. And that's not, again, it's another such an 80s thing with the amount of cocaine that shows up in this film.
Yeah.
And I mean, like if you think back to any like Miami Vice, it was always cocaine.
Oh yeah, yeah,
always cocaine trafficking.
Because the people writing it saw it every day, so that was their world.
Right. So John Schneider, he's undercover. This guy Reyes murders his partner that he's working with. So, he's definitely going to take him down. He wants to avenge the death, end this guy's drug empire. And again, it's the whole thing of like keeping the dirty South Americans out of the United States. Like they go back to that a couple of different times. Yeah. Teams up with a chick who's a international reporter because we know that because she continues to tell everyone, I'm an international reporter.
That's what you do. That's
Reyes, I'd like an interview. I'm an international reporter. And he's like, yeah, I'm a drug kingpin, so get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
If you want to talk to somebody, you can talk to this chick and this other like random girls there. Random girl that's just like, okay.
But like, if
and she's like, no, what?
If you're a drug kingpin and an international reporter comes to interview you, she's not leaving.
No,
not vertically. I mean,
no.
The movie begins with basically this dude trying to steal some coke in a terrible way. He gets whipped in the chest, and then they try to drown him in what looked like a big old bucket full of all crunch berries.
It looked like strawberry milk with grass on it, with grass clippings thrown on top of it.
And I'm like, that has to smell so bad. That dude probably still hasn't got the sour milk smell out of his hair. And it's all new hair and skin.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so it starts off showing that at least there's a little bit of violence here from these guys, because I thought they put up with too much.
Well, and the thing too is it's got the classes. So he's got the two guys that work for him that are the Germans that are still very Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he basically tells them to kill Cliff, but they fail at doing it. And then Cliff is gonna blackmail him. But then there's also like this process of like, I don't know if there's an election or what, or there was a coup going on or wherever they were, but there was a high level politician that then they're like, you need to kill this guy for me.
Yeah, it's like they just threw everything in.
Everything from a movie from this time period. Unstable government in a foreign land based on cocaine trade.
Yeah.
This is going into this, if you see the box art, let alone watch the trailer, you know exactly what you're in for in this. Like it's going to be over the top. It's going to have bad fight choreography. It's got a cheesy star who's not really quite ready to be a full-time action star, but can pull it off as best he can. You have a lame love interest. You got all of the tropes of South American drug cartels infiltrating the United States because the United States is just so much cleaner and better than everywhere else.
Yeah, of course. That's Reagan's 80s America.
A lot of Reaganomics going on in this one, Christopher.
Yeah.
But it's a silly action movie at the end of the day. Like this is great chase scene through like the mountains of random South American country.
Yep.
Where the second of the two Nazi guys is chasing them down, and Bo Duke gets out of the car and like jumps onto the Jeep and then manages them to drive the Jeep off the like cliff of a mountain. And so like they're going really fast, but Bo Duke just, jumps off the Jeep as it's going off the thing and hits the ground 45 miles an hour or whatever. And he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. Because don't you know that when you're fighting drug cartels in the 80s, you are a fucking superhero?
Yeah. The friggin' Jeep goes off the wall, and you can pretty much hear the German guy being like, "I'll get you for this, Hogan!"
Yep.
As he's going off the side of the wall or side of the mountain. Of course, the girl gets kidnapped, and then they're going to use her as bait or whatever. Yeah. And then, but the best scene, and the scene that I get the most kick out of, and something I had never seen before, and I couldn't believe it in this movie, was when Bo Duke is fighting the guy that's the Reyes, and he finally gets the best of him. He's gonna like slit his throat, but then he decides not to slit his throat, and instead opens up like a gallon bag of cocaine, and proceeds to drown him in the cocaine.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought it was great, man. I'd never seen that before.
The first thing that popped in my head was that's a horrible way to die.
So much cocaine, but he doesn't die. He gets back up, and he's just like totally out of his mind, and it's great.
Yeah. He should have become a supervillain at that point. Like that was his Dr. Octopus origin story.
It's his origin story. Yeah. Bo Duke, I'll get you.
He just starts flapping his arms and he flies away. That's how much coke he's got going on. But the way they treat the cocaine in this movie is insane, because you watch stuff with like where it's like supposed to be real, right? And they're in the same size packages. It's taped up. A lot of times it's taped up all the way around, so like the water doesn't
So
ruin the powder.
nothing leaks out.
Yeah. They hand Royal Dano like a fucking clear trash bag full of white powder.
Mm.
And he tosses it on the ground. The bag of cocaine is tied in a knot. I will say I don't think I didn't see this, but I don't know if it happened at all. But the whole thing of tasting it to make sure it's real always bothered me. Like, what do you need to, like, there's chemicals you can use to do that without taking cocaine, right? What if it's not cocaine? What if it's like laced with arsenic? Oh, you're dead because you stuck the fucking switchblade into the coke and tasted a huge pile of it. I mean, it's a great visual of the tension of, like, you know, you get your blood test from the thing. It's that kind of thing. Like, oh, is it real? Are they going to double cross him? It's like, well, we already fucking know what's going to happen.
Right.
But they're not, I don't know. It just seems weird, especially if you're an undercover cop or DEA or whatever you got going on. Like, there's all those, I don't trust you. Try it. It's like, what is that going to prove? I mean, just because he's a cop doesn't mean he's not addicted to drugs already.
Right.
Like, especially in the 80s. So, like, the tasting it, all that, like, why? You're in his production center. Like, you can go see the stuff being made. It's not like they're meeting in a warehouse somewhere. It's just weird little things that, like, are tropes that were tropes because of movies like this, I guess.
Right, yeah,
so I gotta put it in its right time frame. But the first time I saw somebody taste it, I'm like, don't do coke. It's going to fuck up your judgment. You're trying to arrest these people. But nope. But
It's like that episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine when Jake and Rosa are going to be going into the undercover thing with the...
Yeah.
And they give it... They have the cocaine and they give it to Pimento, and he's like, I'll show you. He's like, I'll show you. I used to have to pretend to do cocaine all the time when I worked for Jimmy the Butcher Figures.
Yeah.
He's like, what you got to do is you got to cover this nostril, and you got, no, no, I didn't do it right. I got a whole nostril full there. Okay, let me show you guys again. They do it. Oh, nope, again.
Yep.
When he shows up at the bank, no shirt on a bicycle, and he's like, I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Pimento, how'd you get here? We're 14 blocks from your house. I'm sorry. I enjoyed this movie though.
It's bad. Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad, but this
is
is the right type of bad.
Yeah.
Every idea in the movie is half baked. Nothing is fully realized.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But, like, I thought Bo Duke did a good job. I mean, he definitely, like I said earlier, looked the part.
Yep.
The music is like your very standard synthy 80s score with lots of like.
I think those are called presets.
Yes. It's the preset pop setting on Casio.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. All right, let's grade this bitch too. Chris.
Yeah.
Do you recommend, and was your grade for Bo Duke's Cocaine Wars?
I would love to not recommend it because it's basically comes off as propaganda from the 80s. But I will recommend it because it's ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
They try to villainize the drug cartel guys. And I don't think they did such a great job because our main character is kind of a dick too. So it's like, who are we rooting for here? You know, Reagan's stooge to go get cocaine that, you know, it's going to come in from other places. I mean, Afghanistan has a huge poppy and cocaine and all. It comes from other places. Like this one dude that puts it in a fucking hefty bag is really not a problem. But if you can get past that ridiculousness, which I did eventually, it could be enjoyable. But you have to know that this is like 2 rewrites away from being satire.
I mean, everything from this time period was. Even Rambo was.
Well, not
First Blood, but Rambo, First Blood Part 2.
There you go.
Everyone forgets when they talk about Rambo. Everyone forgets that First Blood is like a very hard-edged, like survivalist story.
It's a PTSD survival story about a dude who doesn't kill anybody except by accident.
Yeah,
and then in the Part 3, we got explosive tipped arrows fired at Skorsky helicopters. Like, come on.
And again, fighting for the Taliban.
Yep.
What's your grade?
Oh, I didn't do that.
No. I was just sorry.
I'll go C-. I'd love to give it a D+, but I even though it took me a couple of times starting it and like I couldn't pay attention to it because a lot of shit going on, so I had to restart it a few times. But then once I was able to, I could just go through the whole thing. So that wasn't a problem, unlike the one last week. So yeah, C-, but probably should be a D+.
All right. I eat this shit up. I love this stuff. And now I'm going to recommend this. I'm going to say, but recommend it with the understanding you have to like this cheesy 80s, made in a foreign country aesthetic. Is it as good as like Deadly Prey or like one of those? No, probably not. Its cheese factor is tuned down. Whereas I kind of use Deadly Prey is always the one I use as the perfect like mix of like just ridiculousness and also like still trying. But I thought Bo Duke did a great job in this. He's just a good old boy, but he meant harm in this. He wasn't meaning no harm. No. He meant harm. The female lead is certifiably just there.
Yeah.
Not even gorgeous enough to be like taking any because usually that's what you do is you find like the hottest chick you can, you put her in this role, and then you're like, okay, so I'm going to pay attention to her, but she's just so normal.
Yeah, which I kind of appreciated.
I did, and it was kind of a misfire. You needed a Claudia Schiffer or somebody like
it's like
Claudia Schiffer. Why is that the name I pulled out of the hat?
Well, that's not a bad one for the time frame.
All right, I guess
it's pretty close. It's like the woman that was in The Editor. Just miscast in the role.
Oh,
Paz?
What's her name?
Is that her name?
Paz.
Yeah,
Paz Luhrmann. No, not Baz Luhrmann, but Paz de la Huerta.
Yeah, de la Huerta, de la Huerta,
de la Huerta.
Dino de Laurentiis.
Dino de la Huerta.
Now, what was the one we watched where the dude was in the Canadian tuxedo singing the shimmy shimmy slide?
Get Even. Champagne and Bullets, which I bought that Blu-ray and I've never watched it. It's got 3 versions of the movie on it. I've never watched it. I have a Blu-ray player that I literally have not turned on in like 2 years.
Wow. You know what? I did something today I haven't done in a long time.
Wait. Let me finish grading.
Oh yeah.
Then you can talk.
No, it's just a real quick. Like I counted like some dollar bills. Like I haven't had physical cash in a long time.
Wow, you got to hit the club.
And I'm like $14. All right, great.
Got to hit the club.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to say. It wasn't worth waiting till the end of that.
That's fair. I love the score. Love Bo Duke. Love everything they got going on. Royal Dano's always great when he shows up. I'm going to give it a B-.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a low C film, but in terms of like the enjoyment, if you're into these things, I'd say it's a B. It's a B-.
Yeah. It reminds me of a more serious take on like the Champagne and Bullets style of look and feel of the movie.
Definitely way more money put into this. They blow up a lot of shit.
Oh, they do. They do. With a mini. Oh, that was something else too. Like I'm supposed to care about this guy walking around who cocks an Uzi and shoves it in the guy's face who's trying to sell it to him. Like, who's the good guy here?
Just a good old boy, man.
Is he?
Never meaning no harm.
Well, he didn't pull the trigger, but that Uzi later really, really blew shit up.
Of course.
And no one, apparently the range on a mini Uzi, because it wasn't the normal size, like RoboCop style one. It was a small one, and the range on that, like, doesn't that just fire out like 22s?
How am I supposed to know?
I don't know. I know very little about guns.
I know nothing about guns. I know less than your little bit that you know.
Okay.
I did think back, though, as I was watching this. I remember being a young kid. And, like, do you remember when you go to Toys R Us or whatever, and there was, like, an aisle of toy guns?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, an entire aisle of toy guns.
Yep. Oh, yeah, they did shoot 22s, 41s.
And some of them look hella real.
Yes. Looking at this picture of a standard Uzi, there was the one that had the slits cut in the side. You pull the trigger, and it was like a grinding gear. And it would go, grang, grang, grang. Yeah, and that's, yeah. And then,
I had a toy Uzi when I was younger that you would have sworn that it was real if it didn't say Rambo in gold letters on the side of it.
Yeah, and honestly, like the kid with the laser tag gun that the cop shot, like, it's awful, but I get it because in the dark you're pointing a gun at somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like the orange tips or the bright colors on the weapons, but if it's saving kids' lives, I'm okay with it.
I mean, you can't even buy toy guns like that anymore. They don't make them because of that.
Yeah, not the realistic looking ones. Yeah, you could get Fett's blaster or Django's pistols.
Oh yeah. But like, you couldn't buy like an imitation like revolver or whatever. Like cap guns. Like cap guns now they're bright orange. If they even make them anymore, like they're just like bright orange.
I just typed toy gun into Amazon,
and immediately there was a knock on your front door by TSA. Yeah, TSA showed up at your house.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway, let's play. So Joe, not Scott. Joe is finally starting a new series this week after taking the last like almost 3 months to watch Hellraiser. He's got a new series to start. So let's see what he thinks.
Well,
whoops, sorry, wrong button.
Hello, Bill. Hello, Chris. And hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here. And this week, Bill took me to, I forget which suburb of Los Angeles they told me this was in. I don't remember, but Bill made me watch Slumber Party Massacre. When I first heard Bill utter the words Slumber Party Massacre after I asked what's next last week, my first thought was, is that the one that was an accidental parody of slasher films? Turns out, after a Google search to make sure I was watching the right thing, it was no accident. Slumber Party Massacre was originally conceived to be a parody of slasher films.
Okay, that makes sense.
But apparently right before filming, they decided to kayfabe and do it seriously. Both show here. Did they succeed? Well, if my first thought was not remembering if this was a parody or not, that probably answers that. Maybe they remembered that the first parody of slasher films, at least as far as I know, Student Bodies, came out a year earlier, and it took the jokey wind out of their sails.
I love that movie.
I'm guessing. I do find it very funny, though, that for a genre that exploded in 1979, just a few short years later, by 1981, that corpse had already bloated to the point where they were making parodies of it. That's quick.
Yeah.
After 2 years, the slasher genre was apparently the bop of cinema. It had gone from a pop sensation that pretty much everybody loved. People either loved it or tolerated it because it's kind of fun. But it apparently did not take long before you hear that song 17 times a day on every goddamn radio station and in every store and like just floating around in the ether. And by the end of the summer of 1997, you wanted those 3 little Mormon boys to get treated like the girl in Megan is Missing. Bottom line, slasher films from the 80s are a standby, go-to. You're going to find at least a handful of your favorite horror films in this enormous heap of a cinema genre.
So true.
It represents both the best and the worst that both horror and the 80s had to offer. What a time to be alive. Put 37 D-cell batteries in your boombox, tease that hair up high, tie a bandana around a few appendages, and let's get into it.
I love bandanas.
I feel like I knew this already, but parody might not have been the best word to describe what the original conceit of the film was. Rita Mae Brown wrote this more as an allegory than a parody. Like, she was definitely like taking a little poke at the patriarchy there. We need to be honest with ourselves and remember that the majority of these movies were indeed 9 out of 10 were just a large, imposing man stalking and killing, usually a mix of young men and women, but with a focus on the women.
Yep.
Suddenly the killer being a mediocre dude with a large phallic drill, killing cute girls, and I'm like, yes, subtext. After we open on the funniest basketball game you will ever watch in your life, they literally just had these actresses playing basketball while also trying to act. All of our psychology is set up in the ladies' locker room while they are all naked and showering.
Obviously.
Now, watching this as a young teenage boy, I was just thrilled to see a baker's dozen naked ladies. At 47, I was immediately hit with, oh God, these are high school aged girls. I should not be watching this. And then that was tempered with, wait, these girls are all like 25.
Yep.
And so I landed in an indefined middle ground guilt-wise.
Yep.
It's fair. It's fair.
Anyway,
It's fair.
Our main character, Trish, her parents are out of town and she's throwing a party. Boy, so far this movie is just tropatopia. In a good way, though, I assure you.
I like that word.
You all know that I usually don't
That's
swim
good.
around in the nostalgia pool, but boy, this movie is just hitting that button just right. Like it is, just pure 80s goodness. So we're all set up to have these future victims in one place and not in a condition to make smart decisions. Brink Stevens showed up for a day of filming. She says maybe 5 lines and then she dies. I dig Brink Stevens. I think she's a welcome addition to any movie, and I would have maybe liked it if she stuck around a little bit more here, but I don't know. She was probably on her way to film, why am I blanking on Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bolorama.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
can love that movie. It's terrible, but I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, fuck. I see where the, let's do this as a serious horror movie instead of a parody came into play. Because after the really nicely paced, interesting, set everything up nicely on a tee for Act 2 to swing away at what Act 1 did, all that hard work making a movie, Act 2 showed up hungover without knowing their lines. At least when movies like Halloween and Black Christmas and The Prowler slow down, they give you something. They explore a character a little bit more, or, they'll have an interesting conversation. This movie is only an hour and 17 minutes long, and the last half hour is just these people experiencing their night in like a very passive way. Like the girls gossip about random stuff, boys, and there's literally an entire scene where a girl just takes the trash out and like nothing happens. She bumps into the neighbor. That's it.
Subversion. That's
one of the girl's boyfriends tries to get her to ditch her homies to go fuck, and he looks like Wings Hauser if Wings Hauser liked double bacon cheeseburgers instead of cocaine.
Oh.
Like he's not like heavy. He's just like unhealthy looking, but like in a greasy way and not a cocaine way.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Sure. I remind all of us, an hour and 17 minutes. This should have been fast-paced, something happening every page and a half worth of script. The majority of this film should be these girls fighting for their lives. Instead, it's just like a normal Friday night for a group of friends who party, but like not that hard. They should be fighting for their lives, but instead I'm fighting to stay off my phone. Yeah.
Interesting.
Even when they try to make things exciting by having the girls like talk about sex or playing a prank on someone, it has all the verve and life of a houseplant that you forgot to water for a month. The only thing that has saved this so far after the great first act is Jerry. I'm not going to say my wife to spare everyone from Bill's Borat impression. Jerry saw the killer in his denim jacket and jeans and started quoting Super Troopers, calling him Denim Dan in his Canadian tuxedo. It was great.
Yep.
Mercifully, the killer has started his rampage in earnest now, and maybe we can get this to finish strong. And they did. The finish was indeed strong. The killer went on his rampage, had some good kills, but, nothing particularly notable. The killer gets dehanded and disemboweled, falls into a pool where I'm sure the chlorine felt fantastic on his wrist stump. There's the obligatory,
Jesus, yeah.
He's not dead yet. I got really Midwestern there. Oh, Margie, he's not dead yet. Need to go to Meijer and get him some Bactine for that wrist, eh?
I heard more Canadian out of that.
You get some machete through the chest and we're out. Sorry about that. Here's the thing. The good. It is pure 80s, baby. There's something to be said for cute girls in 80s clothes. Also, the parts that were obviously from the original script were the best parts, which is pretty much the opening and the close. I think they also got the message across without constantly beating you over the head with it. The bad. The parts that weren't in the original script are like as boring as a calculus lecture. There's 30 minutes of this movie that really needed someone who knows how to write interesting dialogue. Here's a good example. Normally, 5 guys sitting around a table discussing Madonna's song Like a Virgin would not be interesting. However, when Tarantino writes it, boom. Like that was desperately needed here. Slumber Party Massacre, despite my mocking, is a fantastic example of 80s slasher fare and gets a pass. I don't remember if I've seen part 2, but I am looking at the VHS box and I feel like I would remember like if Steve Vai was killing teenagers with a drill guitar. So maybe I haven't seen it. I'll find out next week. Until then, just remember twice a year, you should give your drill bits a dip in oil and then a good wipe off before you store them. It will keep them from rusting. Be good, everyone.
So Slumber Party Massacre is great because they did the thing that Sleepaway Camp did, whereas the first movie was like hard and like done very well, but like straight up horror. And then the second one is just completely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. I sometimes enjoy that, and sometimes it aggravates me because I'm like, continue with the story. It doesn't work. I mean, that wouldn't have worked for this series. Right. And I don't mind, like, there was some comedy in Return of the Living Dead. Part 2 is that's a straight up comedy with a couple of horror elements in it. Yep. Good zombie makeup and stuff, but I didn't mind that in that series because then the next one goes super serious after that. And it's like, okay, so every day has a different kind of tone to it. So why can't movies?
Exactly. And speaking of different tones, here comes Reverend Scott.
Hey, Chris, remember saying this?
Once we finish the show, I forget everything. That's why Reverend Scott's so funny to me, because I'm like, when did I say that? I don't remember that. All right, fine.
Just kidding. Of course you don't.
Nope.
What? Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott. Scott, I don't know, he probably went to the movies and watched something and he's going to tell us about it, which is fine with me because that's what his segment does.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott. And I didn't go to the movies last week, so you're wrong about this segment. Eat shit.
You're not Angelina Jolie level. Like, why are you acting like this?
Well, I gotta be honest. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. And the reviews didn't give me a lot to work with either. I tried asking Bill for some help, and all he told me was,
send me your social security number.
And you're not tricking me into doing that a second time. So I guess I'll just have to work with what I got. Such as this movie you did last week, for instance.
The Editor.
I usually listen to the trailer to get some more info, but that certainly didn't help much.
Let's fire up the trailer for this. Right. That's not what I wanted to do. I had it right here. Where did it go? Bill, come on, man.
Yeah, come on, Bill. Then you mentioned one of the actors in The Editor was in a Human Centipede movie. I've seen part 1 and 2, but I haven't seen part 3, so I might know him. Let's see.
And he is best known as the real weirdo from Human Centipede 3.
Yeah.
3 or 2?
3.
2. 3.
No.
And no help there either.
I never watched 2 or 3.
Just tell me what the fuck this is about then.
You have these guys that are a film crew that are making a movie. You have Ray, who's the editor. And people just start getting killed.
Ooh, how original. I'm hooked already. But in all seriousness, I do love the Astron 6 guys, and The Void is one of the most fantastic horror flicks to come out in recent years, so I'm sure you guys love this too.
It looks fantastic. The costumes, the sets, the jumpy edits, all of it. is perfect. I don't like it.
Well, I guess I don't like it either then. And I give the editor a C-, but the review gets a B-. And of course, the other major issue last week was from
1991 La Secta, or The Sect.
So from the sounds of it, they tried to do what the Holdovers succeeded in doing by making a period piece of sorts, but not so sure they accomplished that task. On top of that, I'm really confused about the story. So there's like a lady and an older guy.
The older gentleman, Mobius, who is traveling with a package, and then he's like weird.
But then they get rid of the old man, but then they change their minds and bring him back.
Like the old man dies, but then they cut off somebody's face and put their face on his face, and then all of a sudden he's back.
Yeah. Well, there's also the strangling washcloth.
Of course, there's also birds.
But then the birds, like the evil birds.
You never explain what that fucking means.
What does this have to do with any of it?
Right. Right. I don't know.
Well, I certainly don't fucking know.
God, this fucking movie.
You got that right. I give The Sect a D-. But the reviews seem to really hurt you both, so that gets an A-. Okay, enough stalling. I have to make a decision on what I'm going to review for myself.
All right. Fine. But here's my problem.
I didn't go to the theater last weekend, so I'm not sure what the hell I'm even going to talk about this week.
Don't be a bitch about stuff.
Okay, fine. I did actually watch a movie. It was just on Prime Video streaming. It's called Exists. It came out in 2014, and it's a Bigfoot found footage flick. And it was made by the same guy that did the original Blair Witch Project.
We covered this, didn't we?
Needless to say, I was pretty pumped to watch this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like most great Bigfoot movies, this was the traditional Harry and the Hendersons intro. A group of people in an SUV are traveling down a remote road in the woods and hit a mysteriously large, hairy creature. Only this time, instead of someone wonderful like John Lithgow at the wheel, we get random guy number one and his brother that's filming everything with lots of GoPros everywhere, and the driver's girlfriend, and then their friend in the back, and his girlfriend as well. And instead of a comedic run-in with a smiling beast named Harry, they seemingly injured the creature before it escaped off into the woods and was crying off in the distance. But what was it? Well, obviously we fucking know, but they're dumb 20-something kids, so they'd like shrug it off and continue off to their uncle's cabin in the woods, because what could possibly go wrong out there? And from here we get I would call it a well-filmed, pretty suspenseful experience, with it being very isolated in the woods, and there's an aggressive Sasquatch, and they seemingly have a legitimate reason to have lots of cameras filming from multiple angles and such. So it seems to follow that rule pretty decently. I guess my main issue is that this is described on Prime as a quote-unquote blood-soaked nightmare. And I gotta be honest, all the blood in this flick would probably fit inside half a coffee mug. There's some cool violence and some things getting destroyed and people dragged and thrown and stuff like that. There's some really tense situations involving some well-done sound design, and there's lots of Sasquatch noises off in the distance in the woods and screaming and stuff, and that's pretty cool. But blood-soaked? That's some bullshit.
I'll fight people over that.
The characters in this are, I don't know, I'd say they're a bit two-dimensional. They kind of fall into that gray area between wanting to see them die and wanting to see them actually escape. It's certainly not as cut and dry a situation as, I don't know, being in a human centipede.
The idea of poop in the mouth just, no, can't do it.
Turns you on? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, we all get it. So I guess if you're looking for a well-made, suspenseful found footage movie about Bigfoot specifically, and don't care about the blood and gore that much, then you might enjoy Exists. But you better jump on it soon, because it's leaving Prime on April 1st or somewhere around there. After that, you'll probably have to go watch it on fucking Tubi or something, and nobody wants that, right, Bill?
You know what? I don't want to do this.
I give Exists a recommend, and it gets B-, bordering on a C+, but I'll give it a B-. So that's it for this week. I think I've accomplished a lot today.
What was the point?
I don't even know.
Yeah, me either.
I don't fucking know either, but seems like you were having a pretty good time listening to the segment this week, Chris.
That doesn't mean that later I won't feel different about it.
That's fair. I guess that's what you get for a 700th segment or so.
The things people expect of you sometimes is really mind-blowing to me.
Damn right, Bill. So until the next mind-blowing expectation, peace and love, guys. Outside the cinema.
It's all going to go over your head and you're going to just think it's boring.
Yeah, or excessive, or both.
Holy Shit with Reverend Scott, the absolute best in podcast segment comedy.
Oh, comedy. All right. I'll be generous, and if it's even a little bit funny, I'll laugh, and I'll give it that it's a comedy. And I didn't laugh at all. Not once.
Yeah.
Aw.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Another show. Sorry about the confusion with our first movie this week, but I actually probably bet that made for some entertaining listening.
I hope so.
Okay. So if you are interested in seeing Don't Forget to Leave and are wanting to travel for a world premiere, check my stuff later this week. We're announcing the, I guess I could say it now. Saturday, April 27th in Stoneham, Mass. We are doing the world premiere of Don't Forget to Leave. We're going to have some live musical performances. Should be a pretty special night. So
nice.
That's the information I have.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. OTC Bill on Instagram. That's where most of my stuff goes. You can follow Don't Forget to Leave _doc. And of course you can follow Chris too, I suppose.
Yeah.
At Cthulhu.
Yep. Posting pictures. That's it.
Yeah. I don't really have anything else. So everyone have a good week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.